Hello, and welcome again to the first annual Epsilon Shiny Conference. I hope you're having a great time. My name is Paweł Rzymkiewicz. I am Head of Engineering at Epsilon, and I will be your host for the next two presentations. Our first speaker is Marcin Dubel. Marcin, I have a pleasure to work with every day, and I know he has brought great content to you. So I'm really looking forward to this presentation. Marcin is one of our most senior software engineers at Epsilon. He has performed dozens of commercial projects and recently has been involved in leading large-scale, long-time enterprise projects. Also, Marcin built a grand prize-winning application in 2021 RStudio Shiny Contest called Shark Attack. And in his talk today, he will discuss the real business development process improvements using the example of his award-winning app. Without further ado, Marcin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paweł, for this introduction. Welcome, everybody. I'm really grateful that you've joined this talk. Let me quickly share my screen. But before I start, let me express how I'm amazed with all the content that I saw during this application. So this conference so far, all the interesting applications. I hope that I'm sharing my screen. Yes, it should be visible right now. So yeah, that was amazing stuff that I saw. And on the other hand, it made me a little bit worried that after those like nice real life examples of using Shiny in US Army optimization or the agriculture, now I will present the like video game with cute little sharks in it. However, I hope that you will enjoy, and let me discuss a little bit why you might find this talk interesting. What is the goal here? What is the idea about what you can see here? Maybe some assumptions, and let's clarify what you can expect. So first of all, we will focus on the path from idea to implementation, as you saw in the title, not the final technical state. It is all because the technicalities you can preview and figure out by yourself using the public GitHub repository. I guess the links will be pasted in the comments by Paweł soon. Also, like you can play the final version of the game, but what you cannot see by yourself, and that will be my job here, is you cannot see the path and the process of how the a little bit complex Shiny applications are built. Maybe one remark from the technology perspective, it's like not any rocket science. There are a few nice solutions there, so I encourage you to go and check the repository. Also, yesterday during the panel about the how to win the Shiny contest, there were a few topics that we discussed with Pedro and Agustin. Also, what was well said by Ian yesterday during the summary of the day one is that the Shiny community is quite unique, and as we've heard, we are having a conference about the web development applications that most of us here are not web developers. My background is in statistics and economics, and this is affecting that also delivering Shiny projects is a little bit unique, and they are built in kind of like non-standard way. It has its pros and cons. For example, there is like a great flexibility, and it is super easy to build something quickly by the subject matter experts like bioinformaticians, statisticians, like agriculture experts, and however, there are some like building blocks that should be always incorporated in the building of the Shiny projects that we will discuss today. Also, from our experience, when we are delivering Shiny applications to smaller, bigger companies, 4 to 500, often the biggest value that we bring as an Epsilon it's not like exactly our coding skills and that we can build the Shiny applications, but the development process, and so how we are approaching this, how we are organizing our work, and how we know all the obstacles that you can have while building your applications, or the traps that you can get into. And we have this experience, and this is often the biggest value that we brought into the data science teams, or other projects that we are involved in. And also, don't worry, I know that like building video games in Shiny, it might be a rather edge case that you won't do often. So we will like generalize our observations here. And yeah, I will use that example of that game to make this kind of like um, visual for you, but we will always discuss like how this can affect your real business cases when you're building like useful applications for the bigger audience. Okay, the game. So I think I owe you some game presentations, some refresher of what this is about, and also now you know like all those like images that will be in the application where they came from. So yeah, this is a simple game. It's about collecting the garbage from the ocean. So the idea here is that you are a diver and you are swimming in the ocean and collect the different trash, and you are scoring points for how much trash you are able to collect. And also there are some angry sharks that are attacking you in the meantime while you are trying to do this. Sharks are of course like super angry with that they have to swim in this mess that we've created. um, so yeah, here is actually the hardest difficulty level, so it's not easy to operate. Yesterday I presented some easy level. I encourage you to try. There is a leaderboard, so you can actually compete with your colleagues and try who is the best in cleaning the ocean. Um, and also, this is the same game on the aerial stage of the development. So I wanted to present this to you because the idea of this process, exactly of how you go through something like this to the final stage, will be exactly the topic of our um, talk today. So this is proof of concept of the key capturing functionality. So actually, the yellow envelope is moving with the user input with the key captures, and the blue one is the shark that is moving like automatically with random direction. Okay, but I promised you that we will talk about like the project delivery, and I see that there are like three pillars that you need to take care of to be able to deliver the project successfully. And those three pillars that I see are the idea, so basically what the application will be about, and the impression that it will make to the users, and also the process of how we are building this. So this I see as three building blocks for every Shiny project, and in each of these topic we will answer the questions of like what exactly we have in mind when we talk about idea, impression, or process, and why this is important, and also how to implement those like in practice. Okay, let's move forward to the first pillar. What? So when we are talking about Shiny Contest, it is especially tricky because there is like no topic that is given to you by like some like higher level management or client requests, or the project that you are usually involved in. So you might find this as a very tricky part. Um, there might be some people like I am that are not having enough ideas, or maybe I'm thinking that all my ideas are bad, so I kind of like skip the previous Shiny contest. And last year I joined with the very different idea that was eventually created. But I really wanted to participate in that contest last year. But also, you might be a kind of person that is having like too many ideas, and now the tricky part will be to prioritize and select what to work on. However, in the commercial products, it might be also the hard part to find what is exactly needed for our users, what will be the thing that they will find important. We had the cases in Epsilon before that someone thought that they had brilliant ideas and they asked us for help, but later they found out that it's not so useful. Also, what we are seeing is often that the ideas came from the like higher management, and in the companies that we collaborate with, all those ideas are treated like, yes, we have to do this, and it ends up in not real great applications. So be ready to challenge and modify the ideas. I really like the Scrum approach of working in a project when there is like one product owner that is collecting all the requests, all the feedback, all the ideas, and there is a single person that is selecting, okay, this we need to prioritize, this is important. We often see the other scenario when there is like either no one that is taken responsibility of what will be the idea, what will be the improvements that we implement into applications, or the other way around, there are like too many people and there are requests coming from multiple upper management people, and every idea like has to be implemented right away because this is like some director talking. When you're working alone, also be ready to challenge and modify your idea. As I said, I started with some dashboard that was supposed to present the map of the shark attacks, and it ended up in the video game. So yeah, that will be, don't worry and do it, and always check whether this will be useful. Okay, what will help you to select what idea is good and what is not, and also on the feature level what is nice and what shouldn't be implemented, is to find out your why, what is unique and why this will be involving um, in your project, why people should care. In my case, that was a change into the garbage collection in the ocean. So previously, in some earlier stages, the diver was looking for some sunken treasure in the ocean. But then I realized that why people will care about that application. This is like not a real problem. So I try to find something that will make you involved in the application. Of course, this is just a stupid video game and it won't solve any problem with the garbage in the oceans. However, it makes you feel that this is touching some real issue. And in your commercial projects, this is also what you need to find. What is the problem that is actually you can help solving, and the people will find your application useful. Mm, yeah, and today we saw some great examples of how this can be used in Shiny. Okay, and how to operate with your ideas. As we said, you might have like tons of them, and not everyone will be great. So first of all, um, yeah, check if it is actually useful for the users, and then check how difficult it will be to implement. Proof of concept is a great mindset of actually testing your unknowns in the application. So here in the example of the shark attack, I actually started with, okay, I basically have a plan and I know how to implement all of those steps. I'm not sure about the key capturing because this is like some JavaScript and I haven't done it before. So let's start with the proof of concept of that idea. So this is what I encourage you to do, but be careful to not be always in the stage of proof of concept, always in the stage of MVP, and also be really careful about creating the technical debt. When you are creating that, you might have assumed that, okay, this is just proof of concept. Later it won't be used. Let's do it like in a dirty way. Some toxic trap that you might find is data sources. And when we're talking about the Shiny contest, it's often an issue that you can spend like too much of your time playing with the messy data and trying to fix this. But this is the same when we are talking about the commercial projects. So Shiny is really tempting to be used with not organized data, because you can always like do some dplyr inside the application and fix it, and later you are adding this, and your code becomes like super heavy with the operations that you do on the data, some joins, some mutations to add columns, summaries, things like this, and your app is not performant enough later, or it's not maintainable. And we saw that this idea of being sure of how our data architecture will look like in the application is often like overlooked in the project. So it might be that you start working in the application with the assumptions that, let's do the UI, and first we will use some maybe just fake data uploaded from CSV, and later it will be like somehow. Even more often, it is that there is some design process and mockups involved, and not like the planning for the data architecture. And this might be a killer for some of the projects. So definitely before working in the app, make sure that you know how the data will be collected, acquired, and used in the application. Okay, so we have the part of the idea of things that you need to check. Let's move to the impression. So of course here what we mean is the that you should make a good impression with a nice UI. On that stage, I hope that you enjoy my graphics. This is of course important, but the more important that I see is to make sure that your app is intuitive, step-by-step process for the user. So the user experience part, and it's even more important. Here I realized this years ago, how important the impression is, when I worked for some consulting company, and we prepared a Shiny application that was like early stages of the Shiny, and we present this to some management in the other department, and we were really like solving some of their issue with the data, and we were using this network package. So if you're familiar with, you know that it is like super fancy because you can move around and take it and play with it. And that's what I saw, that like the managers were not interested in the actual problems that we are solving with the data, but they start playing around with this network visualization, and that was a game changer there. So a good impression with a nice UI is something that is really like catching and encourages you to go and dig into what is there. Okay, also why this is important. So we use what we like. As I said, this needs to kind of stick you to the screen and be somehow different, and you would like to explore this. And also the adoption is the key. So no matter like how complicated problem you are solving, if users won't like your application, it will be useless. Someone said like earlier, I guess yesterday, that it will collect the dust on the shelf, and we don't want to have it. So you need to take care of the user adoption. And here, two examples of from the shark attack. So first one is the on the left hand side, you have some manual that is there. It is presented when you enter the application, and at least I am the type of person that I just like skip it and go let's clean. I click to play with it, but later the users that I was kind of like checking the app with, they it wasn't clear like why something in the application works like this, and they go back and read this manual. Okay, that's why, and it was super useful to give the users the opportunity to learn and understand what it is expected, how they can behave. But also we don't want them to check this. It will be the best if they understand everything when they just go there and enter. And here is that is a screen of some functionality that is there in the application. Before you start diving and cleaning the ocean, there's like 3 seconds of countdown where all the stuff is like frozen and presented to you. And this gives the user an opportunity to realize what's going on. Um, where is the diver? Where are the sharks? Where is the trash? Like, what will be my first move? So this is the feedback that I've heard, and that was really important because for me, it was obvious like where the diver is and what I do next, because this is the application that I know. But once you give it to the real user, you can see how they are behaving, and that the steps in the application that you're doing might not be so obvious for them. Yeah, so that's how you should take care of the good impression. Yeah, do the test session with the users. Also, you can first start with some designing the user flow in the application, prepare some mockups, and based on this, and do the hallway test. So the kind of test that you quickly ask people to check your application, and of course do it early and often. And we see it like in every company that they are telling us when we are encouraging them to present the application on early stages to the users, we hear that no, this is not ready. We don't want to expose this right now, and this is like exactly what you shouldn't do. Don't be afraid that someone will um, be discouraged to use your application. They will be happy to be involved in the process of adding feedback and actually building the tool that will be useful for them in the future. And change your user groups. If you're testing with the same user like for 2 months, eventually they are like too skilled with the application as well, and they won't have this fresh eye that is required. So yeah, make sure that you are taking care of the user experience. Now the process. What is the most important thing when building application? And I might surprise you here because the one thing that I see is node tasks down. And yeah, probably like everyone is doing this, but are you doing this like correctly? This is what I see a major blocker for speeding up the development work in most of our projects, that the tasks are not written carefully. They are not clear. The business value is not meaningful there. And then the development team is working on something that is useless later, or it's not something that business was expecting. Maybe the bugs are not reported there, and they are kind of like lost. The same with requirements. Maybe something was expected to be there, but because that was not stated clearly in some list of tasks, it wasn't implemented. And here in the Shark Attack, I use the GitHub projects. So I think this is also available for you to see, and uh, that really helped me to organize the work. As you can see, not everything was implemented. So, for example, the baby shark soundtrack in the background yeah, I think that would be a really nice feature, but you need to prioritize. Yeah, and exactly why you need this process. First point is the prioritize. There won't be a time to go back and focus on the essentials if you will do the Baby Shark soundtrack. Um, so you need to focus, and that's why like noting down every idea that you have in the project, how to um, increase the value of your application is needed. It also gives you a feeling of accomplishment, and this is important. And it's not only when you're working alone in the Shiny contest. It is especially important when you're working in a big project with a big team, that you feel that you are making the progress, and it is felt by the developers and that they want to finalize things. It is good for the project because you complete the steps, and it is good for the business because they see the progress and they can actually adjust what will be the next most valuable feature better. So yeah, split your work into smaller tasks that you can actually prioritize and accomplish. And how, a few tips how to achieve this. One is work on the independent branches, use the version control system. Of course, you need to be flexible and sometimes switch between the tasks and the feature that you're working on. Keep the good code quality from the very beginning. And for example, we discussed here during some panels the tests. Yes, it's good to have them, good to have the good code quality. It won't be time to get back, and it will be really hard to fix the big chunk of code that is messy. And focus on user perspective improvements in your process. So you might want to sacrifice some technical functionality that will like make your code down from like 100 lines to 10 lines. If this won't affect anyhow what user is seeing, it's worth to focus on actually this impression that we mentioned, and this should be prioritized in your process. Okay, guys, so the three project pillars, let's recap the idea. So what we are building, why this is important, the impression, so how we will make user be involved in the application and make it an easy process for them to work on, and the process of building application. So make sure that you note down what you're working on and that it is organized. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have some time for the questions. I hope that you have any. The links are here again, and some contact to me if we won't be able to answer everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcin, for sharing your experience and decomposing the whole process into manageable parts. What really resonated with me was the find out why concept to start with in order to generate great content. I think it's really important, and thanks for sharing that. We have one question from Ian. I learned most of what I know about R6 classes by walking through your code for this app. Can you speak to how important it is to utilize this concept, and what would your app have looked like without them?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ian. Yes, this is a nice implementation there, and I think that it really helps to organize your code because the R6 classes are implementing the object-oriented programming, so you can think about parts of your application as an similar object. So here in Shark Attack, for it is, for example, the all the objects that are moving that are regulated with the single class. And there are methods for making sure that it can move, where it will move, whether it's actually bumping at each other. And without this class, there will be probably like the code will be like 6 or 7 times longer because I will need to manage each uh, object type separately. And with the shared class, they can share like the same methods and the same um, yeah, files that are there, how we can describe those objects. So yeah, that is really useful to manage your code and make it like nicer.
Thank you again, Marcin. Everyone, feel free to reach out to Marcin and ask your questions in the course of this conference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.